Welcome, welcome. This is Marnie, and you are joining us today for a program we're calling Connect with Your Gals, Grow Your WM. We have wonderful guests here today. Joining me are Mindy Ferguson, Mary Gray, Tracy Kelley, and hopefully Gwendolyn Brown's having some tech troubles, so hopefully she'll be back with us pretty soon. We're going to be talking about how to build deeper connections instead of just hosting programs, how to handle conflict, gossip, or hurt feelings within the ministry, how to organize and structure your women's ministry team, how to disciple women instead of just entertaining them. We are going to announce our weekly, we're doing this August extravaganza thing. We're going to see who wins the $100 Bless Your Team gift card today. We're going to be talking about what's one simple event component that surprised you by being wildly successful, and also a best women's ministry event ever hosted and why did it work so well. Your guests today are, again, Mindy Ferguson, Mary Gray, Tracy Kelley, and hopefully, Gwendolyn Brown. And so I'm excited to welcome you ladies to the screen with me. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome aboard. Okay, Mary Gray, tell us a little about where you're from. What you doing?
I'm in Monroe, Louisiana, the northeastern part of Louisiana. I've moved 20 times, though, so I'm just back home after a year. But anyway, I've been in women's ministry for over 30 years. And presently, I'm not the women's ministry leader in my church, but I'm very involved in women's ministry. I love to teach Bible study and all. So I'm very involved, and I'm fixing to start a group of young women to mentor as well. So love women's ministry.
Oh, that's great. Tracy.
I'm Tracy Kelley, and I am involved with Faith Church in Garrett County, Maryland. It's not my hometown, but it is where I am now. And we have a ministry at my church. It's called Mary and Martha Ministry at Faith Church. And I think there's 32 women that's in it. And we love to share.
Beautiful. Thank you. Mindy, welcome to you.
Thank you. My name is Mindy Ferguson, and I currently live in Huntsville, Texas, which is just a little north of Houston. Been involved in women's ministry in different roles for over 20 years. I've been on staff. I've volunteered. I'm currently volunteering as women's ministry coordinator at my current church. Love women, love watching them grow, love teaching Bible study, and just love women's ministry as a whole. It's just so rewarding.
Thank you. And thank you all for being here. I'm really excited to just pick your brains now. And we have women's ministry leaders all the way from somebody who just barely raised their hand, is in a really tall, small church, doesn't know what she's doing, going to start something. And then all the way up to gals who come here that are leading very large women's ministries in big churches. And what we find consistent is that every woman needs someone who cheers her on, who inspires her faith, who helps her to grow. And so some of these ideas are better for big churches or small churches, but all of them are going to apply to the heart of the women. So excited to dive in. We are going to start with Tracy. And the question is, how do you build deeper connections instead of just hosting programs?
Well, I will be honest. I have only been in my walk with Christ for about 4 years now. And so when I came to Maryland, I was not in a position to tell God no. And so they kind of gave me the ministry. And so one of the things that I enjoy doing to build those deeper connections is we do a lot of fellowship. And I find that it doesn't really have to be anything elaborate. I know, like in June, we host the men's breakfast. And after we put that on for the men, all of us women kind of go out into our little foyer and we fellowship and we talk and we hug and we pray and we love each other and we laugh sometimes louder than the men do. But it's so wonderful for me because I'm brand new at being a Christian, and I've never, I mean, I have a family, but this is so much deeper on a deeper level. So it doesn't always have to be about programs. It can just be as simple as sitting down beside each other after we've served men their Father's Day breakfast. That's my experience.
Tracy, that's so beautiful. And I love how what you're saying is you're just taking the opportunity you have. You're not even like, it isn't even, and after this, we'll have an hour of fellowship. It's just you're fellowshipping when you're there. And I love that. I love that. Mary, any thoughts on that?
Well, absolutely. You know, before you can even really dive into women's ministry, you've got to develop some relationships, certainly with the ladies. And so getting together like that and fellowship with one another is a great start as you track what it is, which direction you're going to go, and all the different things. So good for you.
I think one thing that's coming to mind too is that one of the best ways to really get to know people is to work beside them. Not only just sit beside them, but work beside them.
Well, you learn a lot about people by
You
working beside them.
Yeah. Some of my deepest friendships, long-term friendships, have happened in women's ministry, working together, either on women's ministry projects or we did some sort of service project together as women. Yeah, it's a great way to foster relationships.
Awesome.
That's great. That's great. We're going to go ahead and move on. Mindy, you're next. Or Mary, sorry, you're next. How do you organize and structure your women's ministry team? And I know you put some thought into this to help us understand. So first of all, can you tell us like how many ladies are in your church and involved in your women's ministry?
Our church is, I guess, what you call a mega church. It's over 1,000. And I'm not sure, I haven't been in this church that long, but they do have a very vital women's ministry group. And I just joined alongside the women's ministry also leader. And she was very happy to know that I had been in this role before. So we're going to encourage one another and all.
Great.
But you know, we have an active group. We kind of touch all the bases. You know, I think of women's ministry as kind of an umbrella. And you've got to, you know, so many women are interested in different things. And so you're trying to figure out, okay, what will the different groups, how will you attract women in different groups? What do they like to do? You know, we want to figure out how to make it inclusive and something that they'll get excited about. And of course, my love is, of course, we've got to always have prayer and Bible study. I mean, we've always got to have prayer and Bible study before we even start anything, you know, and as a women's ministry team, we have to, when we're together, we do need to be sure that we open up in prayer. But as far as organizing it, you know, you've got, like I said, the umbrella, you've got your Bible study, you've got your prayer, prayer groups, people love to pray. You've got events, you know, and so there's some women that just love to get in there and decorate and do all kinds of things in events. There's missions, you know, there's a lot of women that love missions and want to be out doing things and doing things in the church to put things together to go out into the community. So, you know, you've always got to have all these different ones. And of course, you're always trying to find, you know, sometimes there's support groups, you know, like maybe particular women that have a particular need that you also want to meet. So, you know, as you're trying to put your team together, you've got to come up with somebody that under the umbrella kind of leads that portion of the team. And then under their little portion, then they're to get their little group under there so that when they put an event together or they get a missions project going, you know, they don't have to do it by themselves. You know, they've got this group that they know they can go to help them to make it happen. So that's, you know, that's just as far as, is that kind of answer the question as far as the, you know, the structure and organizing it? Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're here and you're brand new to all this, over at Marnie.com, you can get the women's ministry guide that's like lists those kind of categories of things so that you can start to build it. And then I'm going to ask Mindy and Tracy to chime in too. But for me, for sure, you always want to have consistency with with like meetings. If you set them always on the second Tuesday of the month or something, it helps people to remember instead of just randomly every once in a while having something. And then the other thing, start and end on time with your meetings, and you need to have a way to follow up. So if you pass a baton to somebody, you need to be able to make sure that is actually getting done. And that's one of the biggest challenges of a leader, is that she's afraid that if she assigns it to somebody, it won't get done. And it won't get done sometimes unless you follow up. So in the meeting, when you're assigning a team something or a person something, say, let's check back around, in 3 weeks or something like that. So she knows that she's going to be held accountable for it. You have an opportunity to reach out without making her feel like you're being her mother or something like that. Mindy, comments on this?
Yeah, I kind of bouncing off what you're talking about, Marnie. Another thing that I like to do is have different women responsible for different things, and they come to the meeting knowing that they're going to report to everybody what the status is, where they're at. Everyone gives feedback, but you've got those people who are in charge of this particular area, whether it's MomCo or Bible study or whatever it is. They kind of give a report, and that way everyone knows everything that's going on, but not everyone has to do everything that's going on.
I'd like a follow-up question on that. Do you actually give them a time, and do you have a printed agenda?
Oh, always. We have a time that we meet. I send out the agenda a day or two in advance so that everybody knows what we're going to be talking about. And I give them an opportunity to send additional questions, or if they want to add something that I've failed to put on the agenda. They do that a day or two in advance. That way I can update the agenda and everybody knows before they get to the meeting, these are the things that we're going to talk about.
So I think just having an agenda helps people set their expectations. Like, they realize all of us can't talk 20 minutes each and us get through this much stuff. Mm-hmm. But do you ever give them, like, you have 2 to 3 minutes to share, or do you ever give them that, or not quite that much control?
I don't have that much control. Yeah. I will redirect though if someone's going too long.
Okay, Mary, you had a thought.
Well, I did too. As we're talking about that, we want to be sure that we include women of all ages on the team, so that we bring different age groups in. Like the younger women will bring the younger women in, the senior adults, of course. So it's very important to have a group like that. All ages.
Good, Tracy.
Well, we're in a small church, so we do meet the third Saturday of every month. We usually do a luncheon, and then the secretary and the treasurer will go over the things that we have. But the first of every year, we put up a big board, and we have all the ladies come and write down something that's important to them throughout the year. What would you all like to see done this year? And again, I think we have 50 some members of our church. So we're dealing with a little bit smaller, but it is pretty organized. And we usually do a missions minute, and we have a lady that will tell us about a mission that's going on. And so it's pretty structured for as small as it is.
That's great. That's great. I love it. I love it. Okay, let's go ahead and move on. Mindy, how do you disciple women instead of just entertaining them?
Oh, such a great question. I would say the key to making discipleship the focus of your women's ministry rather than entertainment is to be intentional about it. When you plan your events, plan backwards. Here's what I mean. Start with the takeaway. What do you want your women to leave with when the event's over? And then as you plan, you want to make everything that you plan to do at that event build towards your goal. For instance, let's say that you are doing a Christmas banquet and your speaker's topic is God with us. You would ask her what her main takeaway is from the event. Let's say her main point is that God is with us not just at Christmas time, but through every season that women will experience in their lives. Our first instinct when we're planning a Christmas event might be that all the decor and all the themes would be traditional Christmas topics, Jesus in the manger, gift giving. But if your goal is for women to be encouraged that God is with us through every season of our lives, you could incorporate a verse of scripture that supports that idea into the decor. For example, one table could have Joshua 1:9. Be strong and courageous. Do not be terrified. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Another table could have Hebrews 13:5. Never will I leave you. Never will I forsake you. And yes, all the tables will have beautiful Christmas decor, but each table leader's challenge will be to incorporate that verse into her decor and provide a takeaway for the person sitting at her table that will remind her throughout the year God is with her through every situation that she's going to face. And that works with Christmas banquets. It works with connection events. It works with Bible study. So again, to focus on discipleship rather than just entertainment, be intentional. Plan your events backwards. Focus on the takeaway and then plan around it.
Love that. Love that. Okay, I'm going to go to Tracy. Thoughts on that?
Our church is small, and I am so blessed because the women that go to our church are so much stronger in their faith. And I look forward to meeting with them every day so that they can disciple to me. But I mean, with our fellowship, we have a very strong core group of women that I'm blessed to be around. And as I mentioned, I'm kind of new at all this. So I look to be discipled, and I really try to disciple as best I could. But I tell you, I am with a strong group of wonderful women that we just kind of feed off of each other, if I'm making any sense.
You are. No, that's perfect. That's good. That's good. Thank you for sharing that, Mary.
Yes, I was thinking about what you said there about, having everything intentionally based on scripture, and discipleship. And I remember it was so neat the way we did one year an event is that we had done a study on Esther. And so at the end of it, we said, why don't we host an Esther banquet for the ladies at our church? And so they got so excited about that. And I had my team already because we had just finished, the study. There was probably 20 or so women in the study. And I mean, they just went all out on the different kinds of food, and we had a fashion show. We had an Esther, fashion show. And the young woman that played Esther, she had this dark hair. She was just a beautiful young woman. But we had the fashion show. So it was just really neat to put together the Bible study and then turn it into an event. And then each one was able to share. We have women that shared different portions of Esther's life and the impact she made.
So, what percentage would you say of your gatherings are focused on discipleship compared to the entertainment side of things? Even I think in entertainment, include food in that. So the food and entertainment, that needs to be part of it for sure. We're supposed to have fun. We're supposed to be somewhere a lady can bring her next door neighbor and have her not feel like it's just going to be, somebody talking at her the whole time. At the same time, the discipleship part of things is so huge. So is there even a way to do that? I guess in my mind, it feels like more like almost a 25% or a 20% would be toward the entertainment food side of things, and the rest of it would all be Bible studies, teaching, worship music, conversations at tables, prayer times, all those kind of things. Where does that fall for you guys? Have you ever thought about it that way? And that's just kind of a thought that came to my head.
We always have a theme, and the theme is always based off of a scripture, and then we eat and we fellowship, and then about 30 to 45 minutes is into that scripture. and we sit around and discuss whatever that may be. And a lot of times what we're studying, we will link the food involved too,
Right.
But
It's kind of fun.
I mean, it just kind of keeps things interesting, and it's not always, barbecue. Coleslaw. But so we always have something that we talk about, and then we all gather around and go into more of a scripture and how we feel about it.
Yeah.
I would say, I haven't really thought about it as percentage.
I know, right? It's kind of weird.
Marnie. I tend to focus. I've made the mistake of saying, okay, we're going to have events and then have a spiritual element to each of those events where it's kind of backwards. And so typically my thought is it's more, my Bible studies are super important, a focus we do throughout the year. We do a couple connection events where it is still very much focused on a takeaway from the word, and everything we do is focused around that. But then you have your once a year evangelistic focused event that's where we really have an emphasis of inviting your friends. And those might be have worship, have food, and the teaching's a little lighter and more focused on the gospel message than deep growth. But I would say your 20% overall is probably about where I land.
And I'm thinking the reason we don't think about percents is because Christ is just infused in all of it. And so we don't dissect it out like that. And so because over our meals, we're having conversations with women that are nurturing the women. So it's not like I'm asking that. I was just kind of curious about it. It seems to me like we've come a long way. I think in years past, it used to be a lot more about the entertainment side a little bit. I think we've made some progress.
I think you're right.
And I think it's, we usually would have two big events, one maybe in the fall and one maybe in the spring, to kind of round up the ladies. And sometimes, there's a lot of women that perhaps are new Christians, are new to the church. They don't know anyone. And so events definitely do have their place. And then, of course, we then be able to incorporate Christ into everything that we do. And but some will not come to a Bible study. They just don't come, and they're not going to get involved in missions. They're not going to get involved, but they like to come to things. But when they come to those little events, we slip it all in and have that.
You slip it all in. I like that.
Yeah.
No, I really do feel like it's important. It's important to have things that are really geared for the woman who just doesn't do the church thing. She's just not there in her mind. She's not there in her spiritual walk at all. She's just coming because she was a girlfriend. One's coming to mind. I was speaking at one of these type of things, and a lady came into the back, and then afterwards, she came and spoke to me, and she said, I was so determined not to go into that part of the building. She was going to do the other stuff with her aunt. I'm not going to go in there. But she said, I just got so curious. She said, and when I opened the door, the words you were saying at that moment, because I was the speaker, the words you were saying at that moment broke my heart. And I realized that God loved me. And she accepted Christ that day. Mm-hmm. She was determined not to go hear the message. So we don't know, we don't know how they come and who God brings, but all we need to just do our part, and absolutely have stuff for these ladies as well that don't want to come in the sanctuary, but they'll come to the craft part. All right. We are going to take a short pause here. We are doing right now the August extravaganza, and you can see that here on the screen. We've been doing these weeklies roundtables here, as well as we have the social media marketing summit. What is that? That is actually the social media marketing summit helps you to get your message out to more women using social media. And if you missed that, go grab that. And then once a week at these, we're giving away $100 Bless Your Team gift card. And what this is, it's just $100 for you to bless your team. If you have a small women's ministry team, you can go out to lunch. If you have a big women's ministry team, you can do Starbucks, but you can bless your team somehow with this $100. And my heart behind it, it was so funny because when I was praying through August extravaganza with God, I'm like, what gifts could I give? You know, we could give away books and that'd be great and everything. And he's like, I want to do money. I want to give them money. God has plenty of money. Sometimes our budgets, ladies, we feel like, oh, there's not enough money to do this or that or whatever. And I feel that sometimes too, but God is never short of money. And one of the things he wanted me to do with this one was to just say, God's got enough money. If he has put an idea in your heart to do, trust him for the money. Somebody in your church will step up, or a total stranger will step up, or someone will donate some of the stuff that you need. Don't be worried about the money. Don't let the money hold you back. I think it's the same thing across the board. Don't let the resources hold you back. Don't let your team size hold you back. If God puts something in your heart, just confirm that with God and go for it. All right. So we are ready right now to see who's going to be our winner. Okay. And the winner is Jennifer Spivey of Fisher, Indiana. Congratulations to you. You will be getting this email notification right after this. And how you can participate is you can put a chat in here while we're talking. You can register your church at women's ministry near me.com, or you can join as a women's ministry leader. You can go to the social media marketing summit and participate in that. So any of these ways are how you get in the drawing, and then we just do the little spinner thing. So anyway, congrats to Jennifer. And we have actually, this is going to end at the end of the month here, and we have a $250 gift to give away to someone. And this one is totally different, but this is for a chance for you to pamper yourself as you go to your first Women's Ministry Leadership Conference. So the Women's Ministry Leadership Conference is a whole new thing. I'm going to share my screen here because I want you to get a feel for what this is. It's so exciting. And we will be doing these all around the country. We are starting in Baldwin, Georgia, September 26th. This is our speaker team here for that. Can you guys see the screen right now? Mm-hmm. Okay, great. And then we're going to Houston. Mindy you'll be there with us in Houston. And then we are going over to Oxford, Michigan after that. And then over to Hickson, Tennessee after that. So these are full days from 9 to 4. Let's see if I can stop sharing here. These are full days from 9 to 4. They are absolutely free to attend for the women's ministry leaders. You are going to be blessed with worship music and training, connection opportunities. We do speed networking. We do small group interactions. It's just going to be a lovely day, each of these locations. So this is our fall lineup. And then for 2027, we have 16 churches in 16 additional states interested in hosting. So this thing is going to go all around the country. And once it starts, it'll just move from city to city within that state or within that region from year to year. So it's really exciting. If you want to get involved, of course, WM Association, WMASSN.com is where you can learn more about that. So keep us on your radar for that. All right, let's go back. We are going to go to Tracy next. What's one simple event component that surprised you by being wildly successful?
Well, I love this question. We did at one of our, and this is kind of one that we just did. We got a flower pot, and in that flower pot, it was at different stages of growth. And when we were doing that, I asked the ladies, which stage are you in? And, are you in your faith or trust, or where are you at with your walk? And that one little flower pot has made a difference in so many lives. I still get pictures of the flowers that we handed out that they still are nurturing because of that one little creative thing that we put together. And I would just thought it was going to be a nice little pot for people, but they really turned it into something. And I was like, okay, God, you did this. This came from you. And the pot idea was just so simple. And yet, and I'm not exaggerating, 2 or 3 times a week, I still get a picture of somebody's pot that they are still nurturing the plant, because I gave the pot, the seed, and we all planted them together. And so it was a whole big thing, but it just made an impact on so many people in my small little group that it still amazes me.
That's so fun. That's so fun. One of the things that God had me do start years ago was to, when we were going on a conference away, maybe a weekend retreat or something like that, to ask some of the ladies who were going to stay home if they would give them a candle, a small votive candle, and asked if they would just put that on their kitchen counter. And when they were working in their kitchen over the weekend, would they pray for us? And that really connected us in a different way, as well as, as a speaker too, I can always tell when it's been prayed over compared to when there's been little prayer. Lots of preparation maybe, but little prayer. And I tell you what, prayer just changes everything. So having additional prayer warriors really made a big difference for me, for us. Mary, how about you? So Mary, is there a component that kind of popped out in your thoughts?
Well, I was thinking about one Christmas we gave out. We just bought the little small, like, Christmas ornaments that are like little gifts, that you can buy, or you can, and each lady had one to take home to put somewhere in her window or whatever, to remind her of the special gift that God has given her, and how the greatest gift that we were given at Christmas can now be turned around into gift to other people. So that was just a little something we did.
Yeah. Mindy.
I can't really think of something off the top of my head, but I love the way there's consistency in what you're sharing with the flower pot, and focusing on those spiritual gifts that each person has, and tying that in with your themes. Again, it kind of goes back to planning backwards and thinking, what do you want the takeaway to be? It's beautiful.
Thank you.
You keep bringing that up, and I think we should just pause here a moment, because that and start with the end in mind. Mm-hmm. One of my big words this year is intentionality. Just you can tell when you go into a church, when you go into a place, if they are being intentional or if they're just doing it the way they've always done it. It's a big difference. And I know last in January, or it must have been February, when we had the Women's Ministry Leadership Summit, and one of the things we talked about there was how to do the planning for the year. And so some of the gals would do it, their own ways. But the one that really struck me was this church. They would take everything that they did last year, put it on a 3x5 card or whatever. They'd put it all out on a table. And then, so if they did the mother-daughter tea or whatever it was, they would put it out on the table. Then they had another table. And they said, instead of just saying, what are we going to keep? What are we going to lose? Nothing comes across unless somebody says, this is so important. We have to keep this. So they would only bring forward those things that had buy-in, for one thing, but also heart to it, where it's like, this is necessary for us to go forward. We need this going forward. And that left room on their table then to prayerfully consider, what should we be adding this year? And I think that level of intentionality, it's just huge. And I loved that perspective. But as you keep saying, remember to start with the end in mind. It is so important. And if we don't, we just end up with whatever we end up with. It's like going on a trip and not knowing where you're going. We'll just get in the car, drive a while, and sometimes that doesn't work out so good. You do get somewhere in the end.
But being new, I love that. I've not thought about that. Starting with what you want the end result to be, and so being so new, that is a very good way to look at it and to actually plan. So that's going to be something new that I start this month. No, next month.
Oh, that's great, Tracy.
Love it. I love that. All right, Mindy, back to you. What was the best women's ministry event you ever hosted, and why did it work so well?
Okay, well, you mentioned buy-in just a minute ago, Marnie, and I would say the best women's ministry event I ever hosted was a women's conference, and I had an outside speaker who did a couple talks. But what was so great about this event was that we had a lot of buy-in within the church. We had breakout sessions, and women who had spiritual gift of teaching would lead different breakout sessions that supported that main theme. We had a hospitality team and women who were passionate about meals and decor and greeting, organized the food, and they decorated and they greeted women and seated women, really took ownership over that. We had a worship team. Women in our church led worship for that conference. We had a tech team, women who committed themselves to the lights and the sound and making sure all those slides were right. And we had a setup team, and children volunteered to make sure that everything in the facility was how it needed to be beforehand. And they also tore down, made sure everything was the way it needed to be for Sunday morning when we finished. And so what made this event work so well was the buy-in. The fact that we had about 50 women actively involved in this event, sharing their own gifts and talents. And it was beautiful, and it was efficient, and it was effective.
I love that.
Yeah,
So cool.
With you mentioning spiritual gifts, I think that's a part of what we're to try to achieve in women's ministry also, because some women come, well, I don't know, I can't do anything. I just this, and give them the confidence that they have something to share. I asked for this one lady, she said, I can't do any of that stuff. I said, can you make a good pot of coffee? Yeah. You will be one of the favorite people that we have.
That's right.
That's going to be coming.
Right.
To let each one know that you each have something to give back.
Right.
And that God has gifted you in a special way to, and you know what? Let's just help you discover. And usually when they get involved in women's ministry, they find out, well, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed helping them decorate, or I enjoyed, setting up or whatever.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that, Mary. I was thinking myself as you're talking, the very first church when I was a brand new believer, and I didn't really know what my spiritual gifts were. There were a couple women who just took me under their wing and recognized a teaching gift in me and gave me opportunities to teach and make mistakes. And I, to this day, am so appreciative of them giving me the ability to explore and figure out my gifts. Yeah,
I love that. Yeah. Tracy, anything coming to mind?
Well, we have a women's conference at our church every year, every March, and it is so well attended. And I have the privilege of working beside the lady that handles it. And when I say working beside, I follow what she tells me to do, because it is spot on every single year. She is awesome. And we have, 100, 200 women that come from all around to come to this women's conference. And she's a blessing. And just real quick, when I was giving my testimony, she saw something in me, and she actually said, "You need to go to this conference." And not only did she tell me I needed to go, the Speak Up conference, she also went with me to this
Oh, wow.
conference. And she is just an awesome person. And I can't imagine life without her, but I will always remember her, just like you said, Mindy. She looked at something within me that I didn't see myself. And here I am.
I mean, I think this is where we're going to bring this in for a landing. You leaders that are listening, uh, this is how women feel about a leader who actually extends themselves, pays attention, sees your gifts, comes alongside, helps you nurture those. This is the role that we have, is to be that person for somebody. And you may not even hear those stories here on earth. You may never know how you influence someone until you get to heaven. But if you just keep saying yes to God, that's going to accomplish everything that he designed you to do. As we come in here, I'm just going to give opportunity for one final concluding thought, and maybe just speak to the heart of a women's ministry leader who's joining us either today or watching the replay of this. Mindy, do you want to start?
Sure. It's scary sometimes to have that responsibility. It is a responsibility. But if God has placed you in that role, it's because your gifting and your personality is what is needed for this season. It doesn't mean it's always going to be easy, but lean into that. Pray, and just trust God. He's going to give you what you need to be able to lead the group that he has at your church right now.
Love that. Tracy?
Well, I am a brand new leader, and I'm brand new to following Christ. And I say that if God puts it on your heart, he will follow through. He will not leave you stranded. He will give you the words. He will give you the wisdom. Just stay true to him. Stay in the word. Stay in prayer. And he will lead you where he wants you to go. That was a little different because I was so used to going where I wanted to go. When you let the Lord lead you, you will go far without fear.
I love that. Mary?
Well, I think it's good to always have an eternal focus on everything that we do. And having an eternal focus, if we're going to we have to develop that in our own lives first. And of course, we have to, if we feel called to go into women's ministry, I do feel like, okay, it's up to me to really spend a lot of time with Jesus and talk to my Father in heaven and have him direct my path, have him give me the ideas that I need. What is it you want me to? So the prayer, and also being in his word. I mean, that is just the most important thing in the world, is that if we don't know him and have a personal relationship, then how are we going to be able to share that with other women and give them a heart for the love of Christ? So, we've got to be sure we're ready, and fired up and spiritually, ready.
I always say, keep your cup full. Okay, so you are the straw. You're not supposed to be coming up with everything in the cup. Christ is the water. He's the living water. Stay submerged in him, and when people suck on your life, you won't be run dry. We run dry when we aren't spending time with Jesus. There's two verses that are coming to mind as we close here. One of them is Philippians 1:28, which says in the Amplified Version, I will not be frightened or intimidated in anything by my opponents in the unseen world, but this fearlessness and constancy on my part will be a clear sign to them of their impending destruction, but a surety of my salvation, and that from the Lord. It is scary when he asks you to step out and do something you haven't done before, or something that you just feel like, oh, there must be someone better, which is how we all feel when he asks us to do stuff, just so you know. It takes a lot of courage. And then my theme verse for life is 2 Corinthians 9:8 in the NIV. God is able to make all grace abound toward you, so that in all things, at all times, having everything you need, you may abound in every good work. I love that verse. doors for the superlatives, because it isn't just going to be barely enough. He's going to actually flow his bounty through you to the women you serve for his glory and his honor. We are so excited to come alongside you and to just encourage you today. Mary, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I've loved it.
And Mindy, thanks.
Oh, thank you, Marnie. It was a pleasure.
Tracy, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
And you listeners, thank you so much. God bless you. We'll see you over at the WMAssociation.com and hopefully at one of the upcoming state conferences. All right, you guys.